Hey, and welcome back to the Playground Talks podcast. My name is Temi Efriat, and I am your host. I am a certified parent coach and a mother of 3 kiddos, and I'm here to help you own your parenting style. You might ask yourself, so what are the types of parenting style and what does it even mean? So last episode, I actually covered that in an episode called Roaring with Compassion, Discovering Your Parenting Style. So if you haven't tuned into and listened to that, I will add that to the show notes. And I want to share with you exciting news. I am starting a new newsletter. The idea is to keep it in a short and sweet format, just like this short episode. So in the newsletter, I will summarize up topics, important topics, so you can get your parenting principles and practicality and feel the confidence and joy in your parenting journey. So again, in the show note, you can find the link to subscribe to the newsletter. Okay, today we'll be talking how to create your home as a power struggle free zone. And in other words, it's like, when can you recognize that you're not setting a boundary, but rather falling into this power struggle with your kids? And the main thing to understand that is to ask yourself, why do I set this boundary? What's the value that I'm trying to enforce here? If you can answer the question, why do I set this boundary? Most likely it's not a power struggle. It's not that you are expecting your kids to just comply because you said so, but you really have a long-term vision or some value you want to enforce. So let's take 3 different examples. We'll start with food. I know many of us has, conflict around food. So the first question, again, let's ask, why do you want to set a boundary? There is a great chance you want to set boundaries around food. For example, don't eat as many candies, ice cream, and sweet stuff because you want for your kids to have a healthy lifestyle, meaning to have a healthy eating habits. And that's why it's your role to set those boundaries and say, listen, first, you're going to eat your meal with protein, with meatballs, rice, vegetables. Then you can have the dessert. By the way, the first then is a great tool to use in many areas. So keep that in mind. And so going back to the eating habits, as a parent, you set the framework of what do you serve on the table, and the kids can choose. So he can get the sense of control because today he wants to eat peppers and he's not touching the cucumber. That's totally fine. But he's not going to get a dessert unless he eats something that really helps his body grow. So that's about conflict around food. Let's move on. There's another topic that I hear many parents struggle with, which is shower, brushing your teeth, all these things. And obviously, when you ask, why do I want my kids to do that? That's because you want, again, to develop healthy hygiene habits. And also, kids develop the perspective taking along the years. They don't have it when they're 2 years old. They don't get why they have to brush their teeth because it's not that they have cavity when they're 2 years old. There is a better chance they will develop cavity when they grow up. So they don't get why they have to do that, but they have to do it. Otherwise, they will suffer from pain and will cost money, obviously. So the point is, there are areas in your kid's life where it's still your responsibility to set those boundaries. When it comes to hygiene, it's totally for you to enforce and saying, well, you get to brush your teeth every day. In terms of shower, it's again to avoid inconvenience and rush and itchiness in your body. But with the shower, I want to say something that sometimes we spend a full day in the house when it's really cold out there. And for example, if we did so many activities, we did some craft, board game, and I know that my kids was not sweaty as much as if my kid comes to me and say, hey, mommy, I'm too tired to take this shower. Then I will show some flexibility and I'm going to say, you know what? I get that today you are not feeling as nasty. It's your choice to take shower or not, but tomorrow you will definitely do that. So I think that when you use some common sense, even when you set those boundaries, that really builds the trust that the kids understand that he can express himself logically and you will hear and listen to him and respond accordingly. So basically, you help them to sort of negotiate, I would say. And I think it's another great skill. Okay, moving on. Screen time. Screen time is the topic that, wow, we always, like this generation, is just addicted to screen, and we struggle with this so much. So why do you want to limit screen time? There are many reasons you can do that. Maybe because you know that once a kid's spending many hours in front of a screen, he's not doing other activities such as going out running. So he won't exercise. And again, it's not aligned with healthy lifestyle to just sit in front of the screen the whole day. Also, without screen, kids sometimes get bored, and boredom brings creativity because they have to come up with their own stuff of what to do. What are they curious about? Also, when the kids are just watching screens, they're not practicing and developing their social skills. So this is just, a bit of point of why do you want to limit screen time? And so once you answer that question, the next question to ask yourself will be, how much time will you allow your kids to watch screen? And not only how much time, but what does it actually mean? Like, does it include video chat with friends or grandparents? Does this include educational content, or screen time is only for educational content? So that's something that you need to think with yourself. And once you came up with sort of the plan of what do they see, for how long do they see that, then you can come up and talk to your child when they're 4, 5, and 6. You can explain the why to the kids and then set the expectation around how much time. And then once you explain that, you're going to not only set the boundary, but also hold the boundary and make sure they turn off the devices on time. There's a whole episode around screen struggle. There are many great ideas of how to deal with it. So go ahead and listen to that. To sum up, the main idea of distinguishing between power struggle and setting boundaries is that if you know the why behind why did you set this specific boundary. And again, showing some flexibility is totally fine. Using some common sense is totally fine, as long as you're not accommodating things because you are afraid of conflict. That's it. I hope that was helpful. Once again, in the show note, you can find the link to the new newsletter, which will be short and sweet. You'll find some additional resources around establishing healthy routines. And as usual, treat yourself with compassion and curiosity. Bye!